Welcome back to Grassroots Media, and welcome back to this week's edition of the Greeneville Federal Bank Eddie Spradlen Show, where we cover everything inside of Burley Stadium with the Greeneville football team. As always, I'm sitting here with head coach Eddie Spradlen. Coach, how are we doing this hot Wednesday afternoon?
November the 8th.
I know.
Like it. Thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely. Always enjoyed coming down here to Greeneville. Let's talk about another playoff win this past Friday night. Walked into round one of the playoffs, hosted Fulton, a team that you've had many classic battles with in the past. You were able to come out on top in that one and advance to round two. Talk about how much you enjoyed Friday night's win and what was working well for you.
You know, obviously, it was a big win for our football team. Anytime you can get a playoff win, that's big. But, like we talked last week, it was a team don't go by what their record was. They're, explosive, really athletic, had a big offensive line. But, we came into the game, we played really hard. We were able to, really probably played one of our best offensive games I felt like we've played, just running the football. Got a lot of guys involved in the running game. Carson had another big night. Emmanuel Dixon had a big night. And then Bryson Myers, came in there and had a big night. So all those guys, when those guys are going, our offensive line's playing really good, it's going to be a good night for the Green Devils.
That's one thing we talk about every week is how you always establish the run game early, and you carry that out throughout the entire game. You were able to score 5 rushing touchdowns with 4 different rushers. I know 3 were running backs, and you put Caden Ball in there, and he was able to score a touchdown on his legs. Talk about what was working well for each kid throughout the night and how they were able to find success and reach the end zone.
It started up front with our offensive line. The offensive line played really good. A lot of credit goes to our coaching staff for the plays that they drew up during the week that we knew we could be successful with, and then working them during the week of practice and being able to get those plays to work on Friday night. But it started, like you said, up front with those guys, big holes for those guys to run in. Those guys really running hard downhill, being explosive. A lot of yards after contact, which is big for we can continue to get that. That'll be big for us as we go in the playoffs.
How were you able to limit their attack on defense too?
Really explosive athletes we talked about last week. The quarterback does a really good job throwing the football. We play a little more 3-front stuff than we have. Because they kind of went to their passing game a lot because they wouldn't have much success running the football. So able to switch it up and do a few different things we've not done much this season that'll help us as we go in the playoffs.
Something that a lot of teams aren't able to do, and you mentioned it right before we started recording here, is you were able to score a touchdown on offense, on defense, and on special teams, which rarely ever happens. Yeah. But the nights they do happen, a lot of times you're going to come out with a win, and that's what you were able to do. You scored with a pick 6 from Hayden Goat, and then you had the Zach Chrisman, punt return touchdown. I don't really know how you describe that. Yeah. Take me through that play and take me through Hayden's pick 6.
We were getting those guys on the field for punt return, and our special teams guys are watching that, and somebody said there's not a punter back there, and then the next thing we know, they snapping the thing, but they obviously didn't get their punter on the field, and the snapper wasn't paying attention. He snapped it back there to no man, so we just scooped that thing up and score. But Hayden did a really good job on that pick 6, making a good break on the ball. I think that's his second pick 6 of the year. He's up there 7 or 8 interceptions on the year. He's having a tremendous year for him.
And it's good to see them pay off too, because as you mentioned, I think this is his second pick 6 on the season. And he's been one of your best men in the secondary. Also, I know Isaac McGill's another one that's been stout back there too. Talk about your secondary. That's one thing that I don't think we've mentioned this year that's really held your opponents to a low amount of yards each game, because we talked about Sullivan East coming in here with a potent passing attack. And outside of them, I don't know if you've really seen a team be able to pass it on you much. Not even Elizabethton was able to do it much, and even with Alcoa, who have Eli Graff as a great quarterback. Talk about your secondary and how they've been able to lock down so many opponents this year.
I went to a FCA banquet last night, and somebody was talking, myself and Coach Wright were there, and he came up and he was talking, and he said, I really didn't think that we were going to be that good in the secondary this year from the graduation we had from last year. So tremendous job that they've done. Tremendous job Coach Trevor Wright's done back there with those guys. I told that same guy, I said, I used to help him out a little, but I've just let him have them off, and they've got a lot better. So, they've played a really good job, done a really good job back there. Hayden Goad's done a tremendous job. Thomas Lawler, both those at corners. And then, had Charles Dabney, Cooper Johnson in there at strong safety a lot. free safety's been Isaac McGill, and then you got Carson Quillen that plays a lot back there as well. And during the year we've tried to limit his defensive touches. But as the playoffs go, we try to get him involved a little more. But done a really good job. They do a good job getting their hats to the football on the run game, as well as being able to break up some passes and get some interceptions.
Credit to Coach Wright, because as you mentioned with the graduating class you had last year, a lot of people don't understand how hard that is to kind of get that same level of play back with a brand new class coming in that aren't as experienced but go in looking just as seasoned as the kids who graduated the year before.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, he does a tremendous job, work those guys hard. The secondary, if you give up a touchdown pass, everybody thinks, oh, it's the secondary's not done their job. Well, somebody up front might not have done their job, or somebody was in the wrong coverage and it looks bad on them. But, those guys, the number, we've not given up many deep balls this year, and they challenged themselves there in practice to work that, and really proud of how that group's been playing this year.
A couple more stats I want to go over too before we cut to break. 274 yards on offense. I don't know when the last time you've had under 200 yards of offense is, but you carry that into this game too with 274, and then you held them to 154 on offense also. I know we've talked about defense, and I know we talked about how good of a team they are despite what their record looked like. Talk about their offense and talk about how difficult it was to kind of scout that and stop them and hold them to 154.
Yeah, as a group we talked about, they had numerous individuals that could, anytime they touched the ball, could take it to the house. We stuffed them pretty much, but they got one drive on that was continued by 2 penalties. So a roughing the passer slash
unnecessary roughness.
Yeah, leading with your head kind of deal, and then a pass interference. 2 of those plays continue, let that drive continue. I got about 30 yards of penalties on those 2, and then, so that drive continued. But after that point, the defense settled in. I thought they played really good. They probably didn't have many yards. I think they had under 70 yards of offense at halftime. Those starters played one series where they didn't get any. So a lot of those extra yards they got were young guys coming in there. They had drove the field for a touchdown late in the 3rd quarter. But we continue to not give up points in the first quarter. So if we can limit teams not getting points in the first quarter. I was looking at some stats for some other stuff today, and I saw we've only given up 3 points in the first quarter on defense all year, so that's been big for us to be able to do that. If we can continue that during the playoffs, it'll really help us have the opportunity to be successful on Friday nights.
Was that 3 Elizabethton?
Yeah, I think so. It was.
It's remarkable that you can go 9 games throughout the season and not allow a team to any points in the first quarter, especially with the caliber of teams you face with Alcoa, Dobbins-Bennett, Morristown West, and then you go into like Elizabethton, and then that's a remarkable stat right there. I like hearing. But you defeat Fulton 48-14, get to come back here in Burley Stadium, play in round 2. You got another team that you're pretty familiar with in Gibbs. We'll talk about that in just a second and preview what they've got coming in here to Burley Stadium right after this break on Grassroots Media.
At Corner Pond, the friendly and knowledgeable staff has the experience necessary to help you out regardless the need. Have an item of value you'd like to pawn or sell? Corner Pond can help. They pawn numerous items of value, including firearms, tools, ammunition, silver, coins, and much more. When you walk through their doors, you'll find well-stocked shelves full of electronics, gaming systems, fishing and hunting equipment, car audio and accessories. And don't forget about the room full of guitars and basses and amplifiers, or their outside lawn and garden equipment. Corner Pond is a case knife dealer and carries numerous used knives as well. Stop by and let the friendly staff at Corner Pond help you today at 432 East Bernard Avenue, Greeneville, Tennessee. Tommy's Plumbing has provided professional plumbing services to the residents of Greeneville, Tennessee for over 30 years. Our experience and reputation have helped us grow our business to add locations in Jonesboro, Tennessee. Tommy's Plumbing is local and family owned, and we offer a full line of plumbing services, such as kitchen faucet, shower faucets, commodes, and bathroom faucets, as well as drain cleaning. We also provide outside plumbing work such as septic and sewer drain cleanouts, as well as repair and replace. Tommy's Plumbing pretty much does it all. Tommy's Plumbing is licensed, bonded, and insured. Our quality workmanship and passion to provide our clients with expert service is second to none. We guarantee we have the best warranty around. For all your plumbing needs, give Tommy's a call at 638-3662.
Welcome back to Grassroots Media, and welcome back to this week's edition of the Greeneville Federal Bank Eddie Spradlen Show, where we cover everything inside of Burley Stadium with the Greeneville Green Devils. As always, I'm joined here with Green Devil head coach Eddie Spradlen. So we talked about you beating Fulton in round one of the playoffs. You advance into round two now. You got 16 teams left in the state in Class 4A. You've got Gibbs coming up now. That's a team you're very familiar with also that you've faced in the past few seasons. Talk about what you expect out of Gibbs going into this matchup this year in round two.
You know, Gibbs is a really strong football team. They come in this game with a 9-2 record. Got a really strong running back. A couple strong running backs, but one was up. A lot of people mentioned him for up for Mr. Football. But they've got a lot of guys that can really run the ball hard and downhill. Not as big as a lot of teams we played up front. But really explosive on offense. They just got a new transfer quarterback. Shows up, is eligible week 11 of the regular season. Transfer from South Alabama, high school down there. He runs it really well. He throws a good ball. They got a really good receiver out on the edge in number 4 who makes a lot of plays for them. And defensively, they just do a good job flying to the football and making stuff happen.
Have you been able to get film on a new transfer like that? Take me through that scenario of how you have a new transfer coming in. Is it difficult to get film on them? Do you just have to talk to opposing coaches that have played against them? Take me through that.
We kind of just, when in games you trade 2 films with the team you're playing. So he's played in the last 2 games, so we get to see a little what he's doing. But in the film, you can tell he's still learning the system, learning what's going on with what they're trying to do. But a really good runner when he gets the ball in his hands, and if he scrambles around it, he don't care to just take it off running, and has had a lot of success with it.
So talk about their offense outside of him a little bit. I know you've talked about the new transfer quarterback coming in and their stout running back that they have. What kind of formations are they going to line up in on offense?
They do multiple formations. They're going to try to spread it out. They're going. They got kind of used to be more or less old school wing T stuff, and they've kind of went to the spread and running the same stuff out of the spread. So they can still get in that wing T formation. So you got to be prepared for that. A lot of times you're not really preparing for 2 totally different offensive schemes, but wing T to spread it out, that's a lot different. You don't see much of the wing T stuff as much, but we're prepared for that during the week of practice, and I feel like we've got a good plan defensively.
What do you think they're going to throw at you on defense to try to stop your running game and passing game?
I think they're going to try to get a bunch of guys up in there in the box and try to play some man coverage to try to force us to throw the football. We got to continue to be good up front on offense and be able to run the football.
Take me through what it means to play in Burley Stadium in round 2, because round 1, it's not necessarily easy to get into the playoffs, but it's a privilege to be in the playoffs. It's even more of a privilege to be able to walk into round 2 and to be able to host round 2 here in Burley Stadium. I know that's something you said that you always enjoy doing. How special is it to walk into round 2 and to be able to host and be one of the final 16 teams playing?
Yeah, it's a special feeling to be here any Friday night, but when you crank it up and it's the playoffs in the second round, Gibbs is going to bring a good crowd. Hopefully our fans come out for this one. It's a really two good teams getting after each other, so expect a big crowd, exciting environment on Friday night. Hopefully the rain gets out of here in time for kickoff, but really excited what Friday night's going to bring.
Is it supposed to be this hot Friday night?
I hope not.
I hope not
cool
either.
It down a little.
Let's not make it too cold where you've got to layer up, but not 80 degrees on a Friday night in November. That kind of worries me a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Take me through your 3 keys to success that you need to carry out this week against Gibbs also.
One of the big keys, like when I mentioned, every week, we got to win up front on both sides of the football, especially up front. On offense, we got to be able to establish that running game. Another big key is the turnover margin. We got to win the turnover margin. We can't be having turnovers in the playoffs. And we got to keep on creating turnovers. And a really big key that we've talked on and hit on, they're really good on special teams. They do a lot of things in special teams, a lot of gadgets and different things. They do onside kicks, surprise onside, a lot of different things. So we got to be prepared, and we got to win the special teams battles. Got to be key number 3.
All right, I don't know if they'll line up without a punter back there.
Yeah.
So you might not get that easy of a touchdown the rest of the year. But regardless, looking forward to being back here in Burley Stadium on Friday night with a second-round matchup against Gibbs. Coach, best of luck on Friday night.
Man, appreciate it. Go Devils.
Absolutely. Thank you all for watching this week's edition of the Greeneville Federal Bank Eddie Spradlen Show. We look forward to seeing you next week here on Grassroots Media.